Now, moving on to the Democrats, this photo is going viral of Bernie Sanders, AOC and Mamdani. They really are the stars of the left right now, which says so much. But Adam, it's interesting, there are reports that AOC's campaign has reportedly spent thousands of dollars at ritzy hotels while headlining the Fighting Oligarchy tour with Bernie Sanders. Of course, AOC's campaign shelled out apparently $3,500 alone at the Vidara Hotel and Spa in Las Vegas during the tour. And it's no surprise, really. It just reminds me of Bernie Sanders refusing to fly commercial, insisting that he had to get private jets while he fights oligarchy.
Yeah, certainly. Look, I think more and more Americans are seeing the level of hypocrisy here and double standards, and whatever the Democrats are doing right now, it's not working. I mean, Trump basically wiped them out in the presidential election. And, sure, President Trump himself doesn't have the best popularity rating, but if you look at the Democrats' popularity rating at the moment in the US, it's lower than it's been for decades. I think the approval rating for the party is something like 30%. So, there's lots of Democrats out there hoping that in the midterm elections next year that Republicans do badly. But I think actually the Republicans could do quite well, because whatever the Democrats are serving up, most Americans are not liking it. They still have quite extreme social policies. Their foreign policy is very confused, and there's so much hypocrisy about wealth. I mean, the top 10 seats by wealth in the US Congress are all held by Democrats, which is quite funny, and yet they make out that they're the champion of the poor. This is no longer the case, right? This is no longer the case. If any party is a champion of the poor in the US right now, it's more the Republican Party than the Democrats.
Absolutely. Look, let's talk about what's going on in the UK. Comedian Graham Lanham has lashed out at UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer for being a weak leader. Now, he was arrested at Heathrow Airport last week for the tweets that he posted on X, and he told Megyn Kelly that he can no longer relax while he's in the UK, and he's always kind of looking over his shoulder. Take a listen to this.
And these men have the police wrapped around their fingers. Not just me who's been arrested. There's been, several dozens of women arrested in the UK over the last 8 years. And again, these women are suffering in silence because no one with any authority will stand up to them. Keir Starmer came into power saying that he would end the culture wars, but he hasn't. He's just hid from them.
I mean, this story of a comedian arrested over tweets, it's gone round the world. It's unbelievable when you think about free speech. Where is it in the UK? Now, these comments also come as Keir Starmer's approval rating back at home in the UK is among the lowest of any Western leader, according to the latest poll. And of course, reform is right ahead.
Just on Keir Starmer, he's probably the worst Prime Minister the UK's had in the last 60 years. So his disapproval rating, is very well deserved, I would say. I mean, it's not only the attacks on free speech, which are actually horrific. I mean, there are more people now being arrested for online in the UK than in Russia, far more. And I just hope Australians are looking at these so-called online safety laws, which give the UK police the power to arrest people for racist remarks or whatever. I mean, sure, we don't like racist remarks, but should people really be arrested for them and go to jail? I think most Australians would say no, and certainly most Britons too. But that is the law of the land over there now. And it's it's very scary because it's only going to get worse.
Really
they'll be reading your private messages. They'll be reading your WhatsApp messages soon. That's what governments would like to do, right? So it's a totalitarian mindset. And, the sad part for me is that the UK and the West is becoming more and more like China, not the other way around. China was meant to become more like us, but we are definitely becoming more like them. That is totally clear. Our governments are getting bigger and more powerful all the time. And the UK is at the vanguard of that, very sadly, because it was the home of free speech, at least at one point. So it's very sad to see. He deserves his low rating, and then we can talk about immigration over there too, which is completely out of control, and British people are fed up with that.
Isn't it? And we're seeing the protests, people taking to the streets, and of course they are. When you look at the numbers, more than 50,000 since Starmer's been in a position of power. What that does to a country. No wonder you're seeing mothers, you're seeing women of all ages going out and protesting, because there's also been reports of sexual assaults taking place. It's horrific.
Well, one stat's amazing. So in 2016, the British people voted to leave the EU. And the main reason they voted to leave the EU was basically to lower immigration. They were sick of all the high immigration. And so what happened since that vote? No, immigration went up dramatically. So both parties, Labor and the Tories, let in, since 2021, about 4 million new people into the UK.
Wow.
And of course, they weren't from the EU. They were from Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. So people got less immigration from the EU, and they got a hell of a lot more from everywhere else in the world. And quite often, those cultures coming into the UK weren't as great a fit, shall we say. And yes, there are riots now in the UK, and I think the country's in a crisis. And frankly, neither party have been willing to do much about it. And so, as you pointed out earlier, the Reform Party is now the most popular party in the UK. And if those polls are true at the next election, then the Tories and Labor will be wiped out.
Yeah, isn't it interesting to see? And, you look at what's going on in the UK, it makes so much sense that Nigel Farage is ahead in the polls. Adam Creighton, thank you so much for your time. Brilliant to speak to you, as always.
Thanks very much.